I want to be able to see people's faces. So.
All right, we're
We're
live.
off and rolling. Welcome everyone to the second annual Get Ahead Before Graduation event presented by CSM Sport Entertainment. I'm really excited to have you here. It's going to be a jam-packed, quick-hitting, fun, and dynamic 2 hours you're going to spend with us, and hopefully you can spend the full two. And if you can't because you've got class or whatever, we totally understand. Kicking us off is going to be a great presentation today from Sports Biz Camp's Hall of Famer, Kevin Lau. He's going to talk through LinkedIn. Then we're going to jump to your individual resume reviews, which you guys should have received notification from Lana regarding those pairings as well as introductions. So I'm sure she's going to drop in those assignments as well within the chat. So she's got that. Then we'll come back here to hear from talent recruiters at CSM. Crystal and Vanessa will give you guys some tips on all things related to getting a job, which is what we're here to help you do. And then lastly, we're going to finish off the day with some speed networking opportunities. So I'm sure some of you, there's a lot of familiar faces, so it's great to see you all come back, and you guys are coming back because of the programming is really impactful, and we do it for you. We want to help you, so thanks again for coming. And if you're new, please take advantage of this opportunity. We're trying to be as intentional as we possibly can in helping you guys build your social capital, which is getting to know people who can help you with insights like resumes, access to internships, jobs, and so on and so forth. We're trying to help you guys get jobs. That's why we're here as a nonprofit organization to do that. Cool. All right. So I want to jump right in, and I want to do a short introduction and then ask Kevin to introduce himself. But Kevin and I met on LinkedIn, and in a lot of ways, our organization was actually launched on LinkedIn. But Kevin actually reached out to me at the time he worked at Google. We posted an article about what we thought sports biz camps could be. It connected with him. He reached out to us, and the rest is history. So that was before I even knew that you were ever going to work at LinkedIn. I'm sure you felt the same way. So,
Yeah.
I just think that it's such a great platform, and it's so great that we have you here to support us because you're so passionate about helping students. And then second, now that you're wearing the blue logo for LinkedIn or whatever, it's a really interesting full circle. So Kevin, let's give us an introduction on yourself, your background, and then we'll jump into some polls from the students, and then we've got a presentation you're going to lead. So thanks again, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, and thanks everyone for dialing in. There's 31 people in this session, and while I can't see you, I trust that you all are doing well and staying safe from wherever you're dialing in from. So thanks for making the time. As Pat mentioned, I'm Kevin. I work at LinkedIn. Been here for just over 6 months. Previously was at Google, but I used to work in sports as well, and working in sports was a very transformational time of my life, and I look back very fondly on the experiences and the people that I met there, and how people kind of helped me grow in my career as a first generation American. So with that said, I'm really excited to be here, and we can go into the polls. And then I'm hoping that after my presentation, I'm going to look at the time, because I do want to handle a Q&A. I think doing presentations like these and talks like these, I really get a lot of value, and I think you do too on the Q&As. I really want to make sure that we spend time there. So I'll do my best to end around 15 minutes past the hour, maybe 17 minutes past the hour, so we can build in time for those questions and informal conversation.
Love that, Kev. And we do have a Q&A function for everyone that's joining. So if you have a question, you go to the Q&A button on the top right. You can drop it in there, and we can bring you up to the stage to ask that question. All right. The first poll we want to show, courtesy of Lana Trucy, and we're looking for you guys to get involved. So we'll put these polls up, see what you guys think, and then Kevin's going to come in and talk through and share his insights. So the first question is, Kevin, successful LinkedIn profile is 100% set up. So don't do it partially. 100% means you've filled out everything, not that you've put in half effort.
Right.
Guys.
Yeah.
Let's see what people say. Do maybe 10 more seconds, and then Kevin will let you attack. Looks like most people are saying yes.
Yeah. I think it's huge. The stat is 100% complete LinkedIn profile means 40 times more opportunities for you to build connections with people seeing your profile and what you have to offer. So I think that's a big deal.
Cool. Interesting. I did not know that. Do you want to take it away there, Kev? I know you've got a short presentation. Do you want to start with that, and then we'll come back to a poll as well?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's see here. Let me see how to present my screen. Share screen window. Let's see if this works. It might not be able to let me do it on AirMeet. Let's see here. Hold on. This is awkward. Let me
It's
see if I
okay.
can pull it up here.
It's okay. While you're doing that, I'm gonna pull up another poll.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, so I have the PDF pulled up, so we can do that afterwards. Let's do this poll.
My content on LinkedIn can be similar to what I post on Facebook or Instagram, and
That's a good question.
I don't know that I have the perfect answer, but I can tell you I follow Kevin on LinkedIn. I also follow him on Instagram, and there are some similarities in content, but there's probably a strategic difference as well. For those of you that don't follow on Instagram, I'm gonna drop it in. This guy is a talented man. Do you care if I share your Instagram, Kevin?
No, not at all. This is about bringing your whole self to the job, and so let me go ahead and personify that. By you like putting me on blast. It's fine.
He's a dancer, folks. He's a dancer. Anyways, so what do you think, Kevin? It sounds like how do you approach those two things?
Yeah, no, I think it's important to recognize that LinkedIn is, yes, it's social in nature, right? When I think of a social network, I think of ways that you can like it, you can comment on it, you can share it. I mean, those are social things. However, LinkedIn, what we're trying to build here is a very professional social network. That's kind of like our pivot to that. I remember sitting in the room with our CEO Ryan, and we were noted by the Wall Street Journal as the best social media network out there right now. And while that's true, we want to make sure we maintain the platform as a professional network. And so, with that being said, the content you post on Facebook or Instagram is probably going to be a little bit different than LinkedIn, and I think that's important to note there as well.
Awesome, Kevin. You ready to roll on your PDF?
Yeah, let me see if I can. I'll try to do it, and I'll throw it to the PDF, and if not, let me see if I can do the. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, I'm gonna do the PDF.
Cool.
I promise the animation. So the animations won't come through as well as I want them to, but nevertheless, I'll share this deck with you all so you have it afterwards as well. So, first and foremost, this is actually Career Week at LinkedIn. So we spend this whole week having like internal and external speakers talk about their own career journeys, and the biggest takeaway for this week is that not all careers are created equal, and there's no one path to this. And so this next slide here, there's supposed to be an animation across the top, but I'll send it to you all afterwards. But all career paths are unique, and basically what I wanted to share with you here is that my career path was very interesting. Like I started off at Wayne State University, which is a university in downtown Detroit. And I worked for the bagel shop called Einstein Brothers Bagels. Like I was the morning bagel guy from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then I worked at Express. Not too sure if you're familiar with that, but it's a women's clothing store. They have men's clothing as well, but I worked on the women's side of the clothing store, and it was awesome. It was awesome. I thought for sure my career was going to be in retail. Like I love doing the floor sets. I love folding clothes. My wife loves that now. And then I scored an internship with the Red Wings, NHL hockey team in my hometown. Was there for a full a full semester, January 2007 to like April 2007. There wasn't a full-time job for me there. Ended up landing at the Chicago Blackhawks NHL team for my first seasonal sales job in downtown Chicago, which was super fun. And then literally the NHL trade deadline came around in March of 2008. Red Wings called me back for my first ever full-time position. We won the Stanley Cup that year, the championship prize, got a ring, and then worked there for 3.5 seasons. The 3.5 seasons was amazing. And LinkedIn, I was recruited to Google via LinkedIn. They were looking for someone with a lot of sales experience, but not necessarily a lot of media experience. And at that time, I had nothing to lose. I was working for my hometown team. Like, what can you lose anything? And so I said yes to that opportunity after a 6-month interview process. And then just recently, after 10.5 years at Google, I moved to LinkedIn. In no way did I think that working at a bagel shop way back in 2004 2005 would impact me and help me like be at LinkedIn now. So it's definitely been a transformational experience. And so what I want to do is I want to breeze through this because I do want to get to questions here. And you'll have this as well as some other resources that I've sent to the SBC team here. But my question to you all is like, hey, when was the last time like you searched yourself online? Like when was the last time you did that? I actually just did this yesterday. Like I screenshot this. This is a search from yesterday. And I realized that I wasn't number one on the search results. I was actually number 2 and number 3. And I'm like, what? I'm not number 1? Like, and so it I bring this up because you can't really control kind of like your message and your brand and your passions, in a very succinct way. And so that's where LinkedIn comes in. Is that basically it's an opportunity to really demonstrate and showcase you in a very trusted way. And I wanted to put this out here that 5 years in a row, LinkedIn has been ranked as the most trusted social network across all of them. And so my ask to you is that when you look at LinkedIn and when you use it for your career, not just right now but moving forward, viewing LinkedIn as a very trusted platform, and we take that very seriously in this organization. With that said, there's value in having your profile on there. And so if you take a look at this very rough sketch that I created, who would you hire if you were looking for your job and you had a choice between the profile on the left, the profile on the right? Who would you hire? I think the answer is pretty clear. It's the person on the right hand side because their profile is complete. And I won't belabor this. I know that the font can be a little small here, but there are so many different things to call out on the LinkedIn profile: your experience, your photo, your headline, any rich media, the recommendations you have over time. And my key takeaway here, and you can read this after the fact, but your profile isn't static. Like it can be updated in real time. And I think that's a big leg up that we have, that a tool that I wish I had when I was going through your own career journey, and things to keep in mind.
Yeah, I
With
think
that said, yeah, go ahead.
one
Go
thing to
ahead.
note there, Kevin, I just wanted to echo that.
Yeah.
Your profile is not static, nor is your resume, right?
Yeah.
So if you guys are having resume anxiety, you're like, I don't even think I'm gonna put in my resume, or you're having LinkedIn anxiety, I don't think I'm put in my LinkedIn. Duh, like the only way you're gonna get stuff on there is to do stuff, right?
Right.
So I know, speaking of this, like time hop was a thing, right? Where you take a picture of every single day. Like I can't go back and look at my LinkedIn look like 5 years ago, but it looks a lot better now because I've been doing stuff. I've been publishing things. I've been talking to people. So don't have that anxiety. Just get off the bench and get in the game.
Yep. And I will say, I know this is a question that comes up, but you in college, you may think you don't have a lot of experience, but you probably do. Clubs you've volunteered with, the summer jobs you've had, internships that you've probably employed with. I mean, or student organizations that you've been involved. You have experience, you have values. So don't think that you can't fill this thing up with meaningful experience. I'm looking at the clock because I want to get to the Q&A, but I just put some things in here that there's some cool things on LinkedIn that weren't there when this platform was launched. And so one of the things is the name. And so one of the best ways to win friends and influence people is to remember their names. And so some stats here about pronunciation of names. And so there's actually a feature for you to kind of like voice over your name on the platform. And that's a feature that's completely free. What to put in your about section. So I won't read this here, but your about section on your LinkedIn should have these 3 things. It should have your passion, should have your background, and should have like your company, like basically like your the purpose, or like the things that get you excited about the job that you do or want to do in the future. I get a lot of questions about outreach tactics, so I do want to touch on this really quickly here. First and foremost, like tap into your alumni network. I just did this yesterday for the first time, which is kind of cool. So Wayne State University is my network, and so I went to the Wayne State University page, and because I have them listed as my alma mater, I can click on the alumni tab, and it shows me this heat map of not only where alumni live, but where they work as well. And then clicking on them will list out names of people that you can reach out to, and you can leverage your network and leverage the school that you're currently attending or will be graduating from shortly. There's some best practices here. I won't belabor this point about creating short form posts like, hey, what do you talk about on LinkedIn? Like, how do you create branding for yourself? What are the things you're passionate about? So there's some best practices here, which you'll receive. I think the biggest thing is being authentic to yourself. posts focusing not just on work but also like what's important to you, I think is also very critical as well. Hashtags and posts are also a big deal. Reaching out to individuals, this is probably the last thing I'll mention here too, is that when you're reaching out to folks, make it personal. This is just a screenshot of an internal one that someone shared with me. You know, make it a best practice to reach out to people like customers, friends, people that are willing to spend coffee chats with you directly after a call or a meeting, but tailor it. I get a lot of LinkedIn requests, but many of them do not come with a, hey, the reason why I'm reaching out. And I think it takes a little bit more time, but that extra effort can go a long way. This is just a quick example here. So I'm a big Delta Airlines like fanboy, and I watched a LinkedIn webinar with the executive vice president and chief customer experience officer of Delta Airlines. And I had sent them a note saying, hey, you don't know me. But my message is on the left-hand side of this. Hey, you don't know me, but I'm Kevin Lau, what I do. And then I referenced parts of her story that she shared. She was a flight attendant. She worked her way up, and how awesome it was. I quoted her in this. Didn't expect a response back, and she responded back. Hey, thanks for let me say congratulations on hitting your 1,000,000 miles. Thanks for choosing Delta. Made me feel really warm. And thank you for your kind note. So doing these things, and these are little tips here as well. Like, we talked about profile completeness, making it personal, etc. And so there's a lot of really good things here. And I think this is a perfect time for folks to kind of start reaching out to individuals, and people are like, humans are programmed to help other people. Like, let's just put it out there. Like, you won't get a lot of people like saying no to your requests, and it's not going to be a 100% success rate. But reaching out to folks and making it personal, I think, is super huge, and a lot of people forget as they're networking and building their network. So with that said, I went 2 minutes over the time I said I would for Q&A, and so I'll stop there. I know that's a dump of a lot of information in a short amount of time, but would love to answer questions or thoughts from the group, that if we have any.
Yeah, so I'll distill a couple things, maybe chat with you, Kevin. That gives us some time for people to stop being so shy in terms of questions. Um, so you referenced it a little bit, and you did a good job of showing your message to the Delta Airlines person, which is interesting. Are you angling for like an endorsement deal or something like that? What is your angle there?
Yeah, endorsement, free miles, free
Yeah, you're
flights.
looking for
So I
something.
mean, yeah, I mean, I don't see. I mean, wouldn't be shocked if I ended up working for the chief innovation team at some point. Like, I would love that job. I think it'd be really fun. So
You love Delta.
I do. I love
So
flying.
I think that's an important takeaway. Right now we've got a lot of job seekers. We'll call them free agents who are like, I need a job, dude. Like whatever
Yeah,
you're saying, stack. Like I don't really don't care. Just like tell me how to get a job.
yeah,
I think one important takeaway there, Kevin, is you already have a job and you're not like looking for a job at Delta, but like the way to use a platform like LinkedIn is like you can always be out there connecting with people, bringing value and adding value where possible. Anything you want to kind of share on how you view that?
yeah. I think in this world where it's so people are much more accessible now than ever. Like, for me to be able to send a note to the chief executive, like a customer experience officer for Delta Airlines, with just 10 minutes of my time, that was something that opportunity wasn't there like 10, 20 years ago. Uh, and I think, I don't know if I'm answering hopefully I'm answering the question here, but you know, I think one of the biggest things that I would recommend to you all is starting from a place of service, like starting from a place of what you can provide that person. Not just you reaching out for a job opportunity. I think that's understood. However, if you can go as far as mentioning something that you saw them in, or mentioning something about their work, or mentioning something about how that resonated with you, like what you took from that. Um, and then with an ask, saying like, if it wouldn't be much of much too big of a trouble, would you be open to a 10, 15-minute phone call? Hey, if you're 3 for 10, you're a major league, you're in the all-star, you're in the Hall of Fame. And so finding ways to really tailor that and do it in a way where it's genuine, authentic to you, and from a place of like just wanting to learn more and be curious. I think that's super, super important in a sea of these executives like receiving so many messages all the time. I am certain that woman received so many LinkedIn messages after her talk. I don't know if she responded to all of them, but I'm really happy she responded to me.
Cool. So put yourself back in your shoes. So let's say that you're a college student. So let's say that you're a senior. Okay, well, a lot of these folks are seniors.
Yeah.
the time you didn't really have LinkedIn like they do now, what would be the first how would you approach building a relationship with someone? Like if you're going to do low-hanging fruit, the first tactic you're going to do to try and get a job and you're just getting started out, you just come out of this amazing presentation. What is the first step you're going to take with your LinkedIn strategy? Is it focusing a bunch on your profile? Is it taking a headshot? Is it connecting with faculty? Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, maybe even probably before the LinkedIn piece, I would probably take a step back and think first about, take stock of what experiences you've had to this point, and like be critical, like with a pen and paper, all the experiences, good, bad, and otherwise, that you've had up to this point. Um, did I like working at a bagel shop? No. Did I love working at a retail fashion store? Like you bet you did. I did. And like doing an inventory of those things. If you have access to a career counselor at the university, I think that's I leveraged mine as well. I don't know, like, they just provided some talking points that I think I knew, but it was good to reinforce those with them. Then I would ensure that your profile is set, like making sure you have your phone number, your email address on there, making sure it's worth something, someone looking at it, because people will check that out. Uh, then my next step is probably taking a look at the university that you're at right now, and if finding folks that have graduated and and striking up conversations there, especially if your network isn't as mature at this point, is like reaching out to alumni. I think that's probably number one. And then 1B, follow B, is probably take an assessment of like what are you really excited about, like what really energizes you, and then like find out what you're really good at, and then your dream job is kind of like the intersection of both of those two things. But going through that exercise, I think, is super super meaningful. Now, in the world of sports, this is probably a pro tip that I'll throw out there. I got my job with the Chicago Blackhawks, um, because I blindly sent a UPS letter to the inside sales manager. There wasn't a job posting available, but I wanted to work in sports. And so at that time, LinkedIn wasn't available. So they sent them a UPS letter, which landed on his desk at the right time. Now we have an opportunity to send a note like on LinkedIn, or a note via email, because all that information is public now. But um, I think don't be afraid to reach out. I think just make sure you're making it personal.
Kevin, we've actually got some questions flooding in.
Oh,
So
cool.
I'm going to show this one from Amber.
Is it ever too late to share a post about an experience or event you attended? No, I can think of many ways I can do that. Like last week, or we do, like, on social media, like those hashtag TBT, like Throwback Thursdays, right? Like I think that's super. I think that's super valid. So you can say like, hey, a month ago, or hey, 3 months ago, or hey, 6 months ago, or a year ago. I think that's perfectly acceptable. There's no statute of limitations there.
Yeah, and the way the algorithm works too, guys, like if you post it on Tuesday, it doesn't mean that people are going to see it on that
Correct.
Tuesday or even on Wednesday.
Correct.
So, like, Amber, put it out there whenever you're doing it. If you don't put it out there, then you have nothing, right? If you've invested in yourself and you've done something like that, go ahead and put it out there. Don't worry about that stuff.
Yeah. No.
Does it make sense, Amber?
Yeah. Thank you.
Of
Like
course.
you could post about learning from Kevin Lau in like 6 months, and he's gonna still love it. Tag him.
Okay.
Absolutely. Do it.
All
Um,
right. Thank
thank
you.
you, Amber.
Thanks, Amber.
How about this one? Really about the about section. So the about section be about like what they do, who they are, or what they're looking for. What do you recommend there?
Yeah. So, in my deck there, it's providing, let me take a look here, like in terms of better practices on that front. Uh, you want to outline three things, like your passion, your background, and what you're looking to do. I think those three things are pretty important. Is it pronounced Calais? I think that's how you pronounce it, but let me make
It's yeah, it's Callie. Is my
Calais.
audio working?
It is.
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay.
You sound great. Yeah. So
Thank
yeah, there's those three things, and there's some really good ones. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know, Lana may have a good one too. If I recall, I could be wrong. I could be making that
LinkedIn
up. But
profile about one.
yeah, like an about us, about section. I could be making that up, um, but yeah, make it your own. I mean, it's just like, hey, who you are, like what you're passionate about, what you're currently doing, and what you're looking to get into. Those are the three things I'd prioritize.
And
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And Callie, I think one thing to do once you're on LinkedIn, if you don't know what to write, like look at what other people write, right?
Mhm.
That's the fun
Yeah.
connection. It's a cheat
Yeah.
sheet. You can see like, oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna figure out how to do that.
I've done that many
Um,
times. Yeah.
So use it as a cheat code. This isn't a test where you guys have to memorize the stuff. Like use the internet for productive purposes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We've got a lot of good ones. They're flying in now.
We got 45 people in this session. Look at this. I'm looking at the clock too. I don't have a meeting, by the way. So if we need to go further,
You're gonna go over a little bit here.
Okay, cool. Good to
all
see
right,
everybody.
so
46 of you in this room. Thank you.
Brandon had 2 questions. I'm going to show
Ooh.
one of the questions, though. He also asked about business cards, so that can be your second part. But, how would you approach someone with a lot of work versus like focusing on one job? I guess we talk about resumes, which they're going to learn about here. I'm a big believer in one-page resumes, so you have to make hard cuts on what you not. Do you think it's the same way in LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, we taking a look at a lot of resumes. I know that recruiters typically shy away from multiple pages of resumes. Like having a tight one-page resume is super important. Like recently, I've had to let go of my like experiences in college and from my resume because I have Google 10 years experience.
Is LinkedIn the same way? Should you not have a lot?
On LinkedIn, I mean, I think you put everything in there you can. I think you put that's a living and breathing document. It's always good to look back. If you look at I think in mine, I do have me working at Express as one of my job experiences. And so I think that's super important. That's super valid.
Yeah. In general, the more data you put out there, the more that's going to be part of the
Correct.
algorithm for people to find you. So
Yep.
Brandon, put everything up there, obviously,
Everything.
and don't just throw up crappy jobs. Make sure you explain it appropriately, but definitely put it on there.
Yep.
I think the search function is a really underrated tool,
It is.
Kevin. And you talked about with alumni. In this case, Monica is talking about in terms of where she might want to live. There's some ways to search for alumni living in Cleveland or alumni living in Detroit, or just search for Detroit too, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. I think in a world and kudos to you for considering, branching out a little bit. I think you get a lot of experiences, in that regard. Hi, good to meet you. Thanks for joining us.
Nice to meet you. I figured I'd turn on my camera.
Yeah, no, great. I love it. This is awesome. It's a great question. I think if you're looking at the sports industry, especially outside of your own immediate area, I think there's a lot of value in obviously doing what you're doing right now. Sports Biz Camp they've done a lot of networking and working with professionals from around the country, not just specifically from Charlotte. And so I think attending these type of events and networking and following up with speakers that you think have resonated really well with you. And some of these, I think that's step number one that you should be taking on if you're looking to look outside of your own immediate vicinity. But with that said, I think the search function, as Pat said, it's looking at those contacts, and chances are you probably know a friend who knows a friend who knows a friend who knows a friend that's connected with somebody.
Right.
And I think
Yeah.
LinkedIn is a great venue for you to find those connections.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Monica, you go to Queens, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so I think that's a perfect example. There's probably tons of Queens alumni in Charlotte, but let's say you're trying to move to Chicago. You could do a function of Queens University in Chicago, and then they're going to be like, hey, there doesn't seem to be a lot of Queens graduate looking to move to Chicago just like you, right? Find that relevance to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be really helpful.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And then I want to bring one more from Nathan, and then we'll start to wrap it up. And then the net, Brandon, is business cards are good, but I wouldn't spend a whole bunch of money on business cards. What do you think?
Yeah, not anymore. I was gonna get some, and we live in a very digital world now. Business cards are nice to have. I still have mine, for my first jobs, and so from a nostalgia standpoint, if you want one, go get one. But I don't recommend investing in that right at this time.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to do it, great. But I've had students in the past, and I love them, and some of them might be on this call, but they would spend a lot of time designing this perfect business card and a lot of time printing it and money, and they'd be really excited. And I had them up on my wall on campus, but I think spend that time on LinkedIn is where my recommendation would be.
100%.
And then one more, I think this is relevant to kind of what we're talking about here today, Kevin. So whether it's a program that we put on or whether it's this program, how should a student utilize this experience and utilize it on their LinkedIn profile? So
yeah,
should they talk about it? Should they make a post, write an article?
Yeah.
What's your recommendation?
Yeah, I think a post, if you're attending this, if this is your first or 10th like sports biz camp like thing, I think posting it is I think more than acceptable. Tagging sports biz camps, tagging the folks that are on this call. I think that's priority number one. You should definitely do that. And if you happen to tag me, cool, you can do that too. I think when it comes down to experiences, I think that's when, if there's a formal academy, if there's a formal like learning path where you receive some level of certification at the end of it, like that's recognized, I think that's when you start to put that into your actual LinkedIn like profiles under experiences. In this case, it could be under education. I would maybe put that under that if you're looking to kind of like leverage your investment and time into this. And so but I might defer to Pat on that front and see how you want to do that, because I'm not too sure what the guidance is there.
Yeah, no, share it. Take a
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah.
I would make a post, tag in Kevin, talk about what he taught you, throw it up on there, tag Sports Biz Camps. We're gonna reshare it, and now that's in your feed, and now people see that you went to something, you did something, and they're ready to roll. So I would say promote the heck out of it, Nathan. If you're doing the work, you should get credit for it.
Yeah. 100%.
Thank you, guys. I
It's good
appreciate
to
it.
see Nathan. Nathan was around in 2019 when you were there, Kevin.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Oh, you're a junior now at USC or sophomore?
I'm a sophomore at NC State.
NC State. I was close.
Nice.
Sorry. And you got a mustache. Great mustache, buddy.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Nathan. Appreciate you, man. So we're
yeah.
trying to wrap up here, Kev.
Yes.
So a couple things that were in the chat, and it was mentioned. So Mika had a question about actually it was Zanai had a question about resources. Sam has a question about tips. Kevin did put together a document that we're going to share with you guys after the fact. Okay, so that is coming through. Kevin's a resource for this. I'm a resource for this. These are also great questions to ask industry professionals when you're meeting them, right? So keep these questions there, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with YouTube University. You probably use it for entertainment. But there's all sorts of great resources for you guys to get comfortable with LinkedIn. Any other recommendation you would give them, Kevin, to really get comfortable and start to maximize LinkedIn?
You got to start somewhere. I think it's never too late to be early here. I think getting a headshot in there, getting your experiences in there, making sure that your contact information is there. LinkedIn is a very, again, trusted professional network, right? And it is a home for many professionals, regardless of industry. And a lot of sports professionals do a lot of recruiting on LinkedIn that I've seen. Like I have friends who work for the San Jose Sharks, friends who work for the Golden Knights, friends who work for the Rangers. Like the people are on there and they're looking, right? So I would get started today. Don't concern yourself about being perfect right now, but get started today and go from there. And I know there's a lot of questions here. Lana, if you're listening, if you could do me, if it's possible via AirMate, I'd love to look at these questions with the people who asked them, and I can follow up with like answers if I can find them for these, and then make sure that some of these questions go answered. So happy to follow up there too.
And maybe we can bring it back too, Kev.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that too. Like I'm available. Just let me know.
Rome wasn't built in a day. The pyramids aren't built in a day. Whatever you want to, you guys are at the foundational level, right? Things that you're going to do now seem really hard, like your resume or LinkedIn, but if you just start doing it, you start stacking experiences, you start stacking it, you start watching people on LinkedIn, you start seeing what they're doing, you start building a network, it becomes easier. So just get started. Do not be scared. I don't know of anyone, Kevin, maybe you know of people that do this, but I don't know of anyone that trolls LinkedIn and makes fun of profiles for not being good. Doesn't exist. Okay. So don't sweat it. Like, put yourself out there, go for it. Good things can happen.
Yep.
Kevin, really appreciate you coming. You're the man. Once again, Kevin has been a really great personal friend of mine and advocate and support of our organization. And it's so great to see you come back. And we are not at all surprised by all the success you're having at LinkedIn. And I hope you get that job, or at least those miles at Delta.
I appreciate that, and apologies for the technical snafus at the beginning of this, but thanks for hosting me. Thanks for having me. For you 50 people that are on here, like, thank you for investing in your career during this week and the weeks moving forward. It's an exciting time, and I know things don't look clear right now, but they will in due time.
We dropped in his Instagram if you want to watch his dance moves, and his LinkedIn if you guys want to connect with him. I'd highly recommend it. But Kevin, we do appreciate it. Now
Thanks.
we're going to shift gears to resumes. So, Lana, do you want to kind of take it away and provide some instructions as we make that next transition?
Absolutely. Thank you, Pat. And Kevin, thank you again for all your insights. It was super awesome. All right, guys. So we're about to transition to our resume reviews. I'm putting into the chat the map for the students who are assigned to pros. Once this panel session closes, everyone will be able to see the tables. Pros, you're just going to go to your table with your name on it. Students, you're going to go to your assigned pro table's name. All right, can I get that emoji thumbs up that everybody understands? Perfect. For students who do not have an assigned pro, but would like to squeeze in, go to the SBC support table. That is table 1. That is where I will be. And then we can start filling in some gaps for any students who don't show up and go from there.
And we're running a little bit late, but I think we can do this in 20 minutes. So try to be back and have your conversations end right around 4 o'clock. Does that sound good, Lana?
Sounds great.
So we'll come back, and that's where we're going to hear from Vanessa and Crystal with CSM related to everything related to getting a job, the application process, the interview process, negotiation process, all that fun stuff.
All right. I will be at table 1. Then you can use that map to find your assigned seats.